Have you ever wondered why some manifestations unfold perfectly and meticulously from the beginning, from the moment you imagine it, all the way to the unfolding of your exact desire, while other manifestations seem to falter, fragment, break, or never reach completion? Today we are going to dive into the meticulous and systematic breakdown of imagining the end, the importance thereof, and what you need to do to be absolutely certain that you are impressing your subconscious with the thing that you should, so that you never need to worry of your manifestation unfolding to the end. There are countless teachers today shouting from the rooftops that this technique and this method works perfectly, that if you listen to them, that you will never have to doubt what you are imagining. But I'm here to tell you the systematic way to test this for yourself so that you can have the absolute confidence in everything that you do, that you are doing the right thing, that you are imagining the right thing. Hi, my name is Joseph Alai. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about crafting end scenes and why you must imagine the end and only the end, and not imagine middle scenes, intermediary steps on a crafted bridge for you to experience your manifestation to the end. Before we get into it, hit the like button. It does something to the algorithm so that those who wouldn't normally be able to see this will be able to see it. Hit the bell icon if you want broken down methods on how to manifest anything in a tested, systematic formula. Hit the bell icon to stay notified. Every Tuesday, every Friday, without fail, you will get a notification on your systematic methods on how to get whatever you want through the use of your mind in crafting and injecting in the fabric of reality, your manifestations. I want to take you through a process of manifestation and how to construct your imaginal scenes, what the pitfalls are of imagining the middle, how they can be confusing, how I have seen many a manifestation practitioner get frustrated and fail. I want to talk about my own personal experiences and refer to those of many others of my coaching clients throughout the years and my well over a decade of systematic testing and keeping track of hundreds and thousands of manifestations so that you can determine and be convinced and test it yourself on how to craft and construct your end scenes, how to know without a shadow of a doubt that you must imagine the end and only the end if you are to experience of reality without fail, to stop experiencing fragmented manifestations so that you don't have to worry with your most important manifestations. You don't have to mess around and wonder in fear if you're listening to this person and that person, that you can rest assured throughout your own personal experiences, which far trump and take precedent over anyone or anything that anybody tells you, so that you can confidently, systematically, meticulously manifest your reality in a predictable way. So with that, we will go over multiple sections, and by the end, you will be absolutely confident that you will know what to do in order to manifest exactly what you want without fail. Section 1 is the foundations of manifestation. I want to talk about the mind and awareness and what imagining after the end does as it relates to experiencing the reality that you want, manifesting your desires so you don't have to question, am I doing the right thing to manifest the life of my dreams? So there's your mind, essentially, and your consciousness. These are two separate things. The mind is the human your perspective of reality, what your thoughts are, your memories, your senses, your imagination, all of those aspects exist within the mind. Those you have conscious control over, or at least you can have conscious awareness of your memories, of your thoughts, of your dreams, of your desires, control over your imagination. The fact that also, this is an interesting aspect, and this is what separates the mind from consciousness, and I'll explain what each of these do. The fact that you can become aware of your thoughts. For instance, if I told you to imagine holding an apple, think of an apple, right? Close your eyes now and imagine an apple. It'll take 2 seconds to do this. The fact that you can observe yourself, that you can tell me what you're thinking about, is the proof that there is a observer and there is the thought. There is an observer and there is the thought. This cannot be stated more importantly, these two aspects. And how these each play a part in constructing your reality is whatever you present before your consciousness, or your awareness, or your true self, or your I am. These are all synonymous for the same terms. Your consciousness, your I am, your awareness, God or Christ, each of those, and I'm talking about biblical references as well, each of those are referring to your consciousness, that which is aware of being. Then there's the mind. So the fact that you can think, the fact that you can imagine, you can feel, you can remember, your consciousness becomes aware of those things which are brought before your mind. That's the difference, the consciousness and the mind. Your consciousness plays a part, considering the same word for consciousness in scripture is God, right? Be still and know that I am God. That is a very telling verse. There's another verse that says, whatever you desire when you pray, enter into the closet and shut the door and pray to your Father in secret. And your Father that hears you in secret shall reward you openly. So what happens? So in another way to put this in plain English, whenever you close your eyes and shut the door, meaning close your eyes, shut off your conscious awareness of reality and only focus on your desires, right? Enter into the closet and shut the door and pray to your Father in secret. So that's saying within your mind. And your Father, which is in secret, or your consciousness, which is behind your mind, shall hear you. So your Father that hears you in secret shall reward you openly. Consciousness, which is aware of your private thoughts, shall manifest openly that which you're conscious of being aware of. So this is essentially the role of the mind and consciousness in scripture, and this is the formula to prayer, and this is the formula to manifesting any single desire. So this is the formula. This is what we will essentially refer to today when we talk about the roles of imagining the end and what this actually means. So now the reason we refer to imagining the end and not imagining the middle, and this is referring to a question that came on a channel and a comment that I saw, which was essentially bringing up the idea, well, I'm supposed to, why am I only supposed to imagine the end, such as marriage? That does not imply that I will manifest a date. It does not imply I will manifest a happy relationship up until the point of marriage. Now, the interesting thing is this person then said, shouldn't I then also manifest the dates, the text messages, the happy times from here, between here and then? Well, imagining the end is the first way that, the first thing you're supposed to look at when you are crafting your reality, right? Believe you have already received it and you shall have it. Unfortunately, within this biblical verse as well, it does not give the explanation as to why you have to imagine only after you've received it, although that is what it says. So that's the first aspect that's important, which is essentially bringing forth an imaginal act in your mind after the end, and your consciousness, which becomes aware of after the end, shall manifest it into time space. That is a manifestation. That is how you experience the end result. Those are the roles of the mind and consciousness, the imagination and your awareness, your desirous thoughts and God. So those are the differences between the two, right? One is injecting into the fabric of time-space your desire. The other is handing your desire over. The mind hands over the desire in the form of an imaginal act, and God, or your consciousness, which is your true self, injects into the fabric of reality your desire, piecemeal, formulated into a master plan. And this master plan meticulously pushes forth each and every person or thing necessary in a masterfully crafted plan so that you get your manifestation in the best, most effective way possible. Section 2. Why to imagine after the end. We've already gone over the importance of the mind and consciousness as it relates to experiencing or injecting your desire into time space so that you can manifest the desire that you want. Manifest, or you're desirous of manifesting the marriage of a specific person. You construct an imaginal act which embodies an experience that you would be having only if you were married to your specific person and nothing before that. The job, as I alluded to prior, is that consciousness causes or constructs a bridge of incidents from the perspective of your current self to the outcome that you've imagined. So there's a bridge that's formulated and constructed into the DNA of the seed that is injected into time-space, and time-space grows this experience in the form of a bridge from your desire, from the perspective of yourself now to your desire. In other words, your consciousness receives the snapshot of the image or animation or the simulation of the experience that you wish to experience. There's a snapshot that's handed over from the mind to your consciousness. And consciousness, which is God, formulates a master plan. And essentially that master plan is a meticulous, masterfully crafted, masterfully orchestrated series of events that take place from the moment you imagine. So in other words, right now, if I want to marry somebody, I would construct this scene which implies I'm already married. Consciousness's job is to formulate a bridge. This is what, not just his job, but this is literally what happens. And you can test this systematically by doing the experiments that I outline here. I'll give you some experiments so that you can systematically test what happens when you imagine. But essentially the idea is, right now I want to get married, so I construct a scene that implies that I'm already married. I imagine this to the best of my ability. Consciousness becomes acutely aware of this. This happens by essentially making the conscious subconscious, repeating something enough times that it becomes a memory. That then becomes, consciousness becomes aware of that thing, and consciousness constructs that master plan from that moment that I imagined right now to the end goal. So the DNA of the seed, there, in essence, an analog, a metaphor to this would be like a garden and the seed, the garden being time, space, and the universe. And your desire that you hand over, that imaginal act. So it's not the desire, it's really important. It's the imaginal act that you imagine is handed over. Otherwise, we wouldn't need to imagine. We would just need to desire. That's not how it works, though. As everyone would have, won the lottery if they wanted to win, right? Why doesn't it? That's a question I'm asked constantly. Well, if manifesting is so easy, why hasn't everyone won the lottery? Well, it's not about wanting. It doesn't matter what you want at all. It matters what you imagine. And so, ultimately, there's a bridge from the moment you imagine to the end. And there's a garden, which is the universe, and a seed that will grow into the image that you've handed over. And that seed consists of the events necessary to get you from now to every step along the way of that bridge to the end result. And each and every seed, individually and independently, is constructed of the DNA, which ultimately will manifest in yourself and anyone else that's necessarily involved to get you there. That's in every single thing that you've imagined, every single thing that you impress. The DNA of that seed that is created is of every event that must happen. That's already preordained. As soon as you imagine it, that's already going from now till the end. There's no wiggle room. There's no holes in the middle. It's from now until the end. And to further explain upon this bridge of incidents, the way that you want to look at it is every person is essentially, not essentially, I guess that could be the word used. The essential self of a human being is God. That's the true self. That's the I am. That's the unmoved, unchanging aspect of self. That's the consciousness itself, conscious awareness. The mind, on the other hand, is adaptable, changeable, movable. You can think something 1 second, think something else another second. You can impress your subconscious mind one moment and change it the next moment. So there's that variable aspect to the human mind, which is the conscious and subconscious mind. And then there's consciousness or awareness or the I am itself, which is the same. And the same, there's only one God, as it says in Scripture, and this is provable as well. One God split and aware of many. So it's the same awareness that is illuminating the individualized mind of man. There is one consciousness and ultimately one awareness of being, and then each of us independently have our own mind. So it appears as if each of us is independently separate, but really there's one consciousness or true self that illuminates each of our independent minds, so it makes us appear as if we're separate. So how does that play in here? It plays in here that each and every person, being that we have the same essential being, the same essential self, is that we are connected to that consciousness. We are in that one true God, that one true awareness. That true awareness is us. It's more us than our mind is. It might not seem that way, but that is essentially true. And given that that is true, when each of these steps in this bridge of incidents formulated in that seed from the moment I imagine to that end result that I've imagined, that essentially consists of different impulses, thoughts, feelings, actions in a way that is perfectly and meticulously, masterfully crafted so that each person will be moved. I'm talking about moment by moment in this master plan is constructed. There's no holes in this bridge, right? Awareness or God, knowing everything that's ever happened, being that there's only been one God ever, being aware of every thought and idea and mind, knows everything that's ever happened, and from that, knows everything that will happen. Because of the masterfully crafted intelligence, the fact that it is aware of everything, that everything is made up of God, that means, therefore, God knows everything that's ever happened, knows everything that will happen, everything is made up of God. There's nothing that's out of the sight of God's awareness and consciousness. So therefore, God can predict what will happen, and therefore God can control, considering he is the source, the essential essence of each person, can feed that person an impulse, a thought, to cause them to take an action, and another action, and another action, and then another person, another action. Then ultimately, each person, it could be 1, 5, 10,000, 100,000 people involved with one manifestation, which is not harder than controlling just one person. And each of those actions is perfectly and masterfully planned in each imaginal seed from the moment you imagine it, and that gets crafted all the way till the end, from and until in one imaginal seed. That is why it is absolutely, essentially important, critical to imagine after the end, because you need to know that that bridge is going from that moment that you've imagined it until the end result. Section 3, the pitfalls of imagining the middle. So this section talks about the pitfalls of fragmented manifestations and why you and countless others have seen manifestations stop. This is what causes the insanity of imagining or manifesting something like a specific person. Oftentimes this will happen more than anything else when a person is seeking that instant gratification. They want that result now, whether they're in dire straits, they're impoverished, they're starving, or they're starving of affection. They need that manifestation now. They deeply desire that romance back, that love of that person in their life. And so it's not good enough at the moment for that person, which we've all been in this state. I have been in this state. This is how I learned better, through suffering, which I'm trying to push upon others so that you understand what is going to happen when you begin to manifest or attempt to imagine these intermediary outcomes in the interim between now and the time that you want. Meaning, you imagine the end, you imagine marriage, you imagine your $1 million, whatever you want, but you need this thing now. You're in pain, you're in want, you're in lack. And so you then want to, well, let's manifest this text message. Let's manifest this date. Let's manifest them saying, I love you. Let's manifest them kissing me. Let's manifest whatever it is. Let's manifest the interview going well. Let's manifest whatever the case is in the middle. So I've already explained to you the meticulous nature and masterful crafting nature and intelligence of your true consciousness, your higher self, your God, the one true, infinite, omnipotent, infinitely intelligent, all-knowing, all-experiencing, all-powerful, all-controlling God that all exists within, and that God controls each and every one through our own imaginal acts. We control our reality. So we essentially, if we have this lack, we have this need, we have this doubt, we have this fear, it is often, I'll tell you a story to really hone this in. It is often very appealing to try to manipulate outcomes by imagining intermediary bridge of incidences. So, as I've already discussed, from the moment we imagine, we construct a seed. And this seed, once we cease imagining, this is an important part, but this is another topic altogether. Dropping our imaginal act, meaning stopping imagining, is a better way to talk about dropping it. Stopping or ceasing imagining temporarily is when we stop conditioning the seed, as Neville Goddard says. Conditioning the seed meaning stopping imagining the seed, right? Conditioning as in like conditioning bread. Right? When we stop imagining is the moment, and we swap our awareness elsewhere, is the moment we drop that seed into the ground. And the moment we drop that seed into the ground is the moment it begins to unfold. Now, we won't necessarily know or see or be aware of this thing unfolding. For instance, I had this manifestation with my person, my significant other, my girlfriend now, my partner, and I created this imaginal act over 4 years ago. I had no idea at the time that it was unfolding. I didn't even experience her existence, or at least in front of my consciousness, until more recently. I had no idea, but all along when we reflect back, there were a bridge of incidences unfolding meticulously from the moment I stopped that imaginal act and moved on with my life. So, the seed planted begins to unfold. And every event necessary in a masterfully crafted way will be executed meticulously, perfectly, effortlessly, and in the simplest, most effective way to get you to the end, to get them to the end, and the end being that thing that you've imagined. So let me put that in another way. The end is only the thing that you've imagined. That is the end. Now, as I said, the imaginal act itself formulates the DNA of that seed. That seed grows. Once it's in the ground growing, you have nothing to do with it. It's in the fabric of time, space, now. It will execute independently through the fabric of reality, through God, through your true awareness, which is independent of your mental capacity. You have no idea the ways and means that this is going to happen. You're not even supposed to dictate how that happens. You're not supposed to predict it. You're not supposed to examine it. That's what it says in scripture. Doing so, you will actually get in the way of your own manifestation. So interestingly enough, though, every single action that must be had to get you from the moment you've imagined to your end, every single experience from that bridge of incidents, step by step, has been crafted already and exists within that seed independent of you. So now there is no space in that seed. Interestingly enough, as I said, it's the same thing, and you can do this, you can prove this by systematically testing it. But the downside of manifesting the middle is that each of those seeds is independent of each other. They have no weight upon each other. They will never be connected. Now, why does this suck? Why is this bad? Why do we not want to engage in activities of manifesting the middle? Now, there are many people, this is a sensitive topic, and so I will say this only through my own personal experience, through a story, one story among many stories, not only my own, but countless others from individuals who have put my teaching to the test and have absolutely proven this true. Back when, right, years ago, manifesting a specific person, I was very desirous. As many people know who want something very bad, especially as it relates to romance or a specific person, it is not easy. We want this person, especially if we don't have them, especially if something went wrong and we are used to this person's presence. We desperately want this person back in our life. It is hard to let go. It is hard to stop thinking about it. Even myself, as what I would consider to be extremely experienced in manifestation, this does not matter when it comes to the issues of the heart, the matters of the heart. You want what you want. And so I imagined the end. Yes, I did to the best of my ability. I know I did it properly. However, I did not see movement right away and it wasn't fast enough. I wanted this person and I wanted them now. And so what happened? I began to try to modify and control the means by which I will experience this manifestation. I didn't think of it in that way, but what I did was I began to imagine them saying things to me like, I love you, kissing, things like this, things that would essentially prove that my manifestation was going to the end. What happened? So this was unexpected, but this you will see. And if you've been experiencing this, you know why. And please comment below if you've experienced this so you can help other people not commit the same mistakes. And that was, I would manifest that kiss. I would manifest that I love you from that person, right? So I'm sure you have as well. But what happened after that? It dropped off. Nothing continued. And there is a perfect reason why. The law of reality. The intermediary manifestations have independent seeds that cannot even fit within the middle of any other seed. The bridge of incidents from the beginning, the moment you've imagined, till that end result are already preordained, systematically and perfectly, masterfully crafted by the creator of the universe, far more intelligent than you. It's essentially almost like saying, hey, God, the creator of all, please create this for me with your intelligence. But actually, I want it now and I want it this way, so listen to me. It's almost insulting, but that's not really how God takes it. That's not how your consciousness takes it. Your consciousness takes it as an independent seed. And so you will experience the kiss, but then nothing happens. And it's because each seed itself does not connect to one another, just as two plants in the ground do not connect to one another. You will not have one apple seed connect with another apple seed and continue off from it. Never. You never will experience this. This is not how manifestations work. You will watch this. Please, if you are one of my clients, one of my viewers from however many years back after I started talking about this topic, who have proven this true. The problem is the incessant heartache. There's a couple problems, and these are extremely important. Extremely important why you don't want to do this. I think the number one reason is because you never know if your manifestation is coming. So what happens when you imagine something knowing exactly what you've imagined? For instance, if I want to manifest a specific person and I never imagined anything related to them, we have some things that we know about how the universe works. And that is everything of our reality has been created by us. And that means everything that I imagine must manifest, or anything that I impress my subconscious mind with must manifest. So in other words, if I imagine getting married to a person and nothing else, no kisses, no hugs, no nothing like that, if that person enters into my life and starts kissing me, I know there is nothing else that I've imagined, so it must go to the end. This is definite. This is absolute. There is absolutely no question that this is the truth. This has been systematically tested. You can prove this yourself by choosing something to imagine and nothing else intermediary, and you will watch when you start to see signs related to that thing that you've imagined. It is an absolute fact without question that it will go to the moment you've imagined. Again, remember what I said there. It goes to the moment you've imagined, not anything else, not anything beyond it. That's the most important aspect, is that you must, if you do not know that what you're experiencing is going to the end, you will be struck with insanity, fear, doubt, insecurity. It will make you crazy. This is what happens. And then you start obsessively imagining the next thing, imagining the next thing. You're gasping for air for the next experience. You need that love that you just experienced. But you're in this process, you will never know if that thing that you're experiencing is going to the end or if it's going to fulfill that one seed, that kiss itself, and then die. What happens after a manifestation is fulfilled? It stops where it's at. So if you manifest marriage, it stops where it's at, marriage. That's where it is. But if you manifest a kiss, it stops at the kiss. I've seen this so many times, hundreds of times within my own life with certain aspects, certain things, and thousands of times within my practitioners that follow my techniques, my methods, my systematic approach. So that's probably, so there's a lot of things boiled and baked into one. That's each seed has its own DNA. When you imagine multiple seeds, they're not connected to each other. Each one will ripen, flower, and die. And so if you imagine the end, then a kiss, then a hug, the kiss will manifest and die. The hug will manifest and die, and you'll still have no clue if you're ever on that bridge to the first seed, which was imagining the end. You cannot and should not, I don't care what anyone says, if they're trying to make you feel better because you've been doing this, do not screw up your consciousness, and you'll never know what to do if this is what you do. You'll never know what experience you're having. You'll never be able to look back and say, listen, this is how I've imagined the end. I've imagined marriage. I've gotten a kiss. That means I know for a fact it's going to the end. This is how it works every single time. So don't mess with the middle. Don't imagine intermediary steps. So section 4 is just a reiteration of the science of DNA of seeds. Reality is a garden. Just as you plant an apple seed, it must grow into an apple tree. It cannot grow into an orange tree. Just as you plant two seeds, they must grow into two apple trees, not one gigantic apple tree. And you cannot plant an orange seed and an apple seed and expect one to merge into the next. Literally, test this by imagining. Do it with something, however. This is the experiment. Do this with something that is not as important to you, and do this with many things. So that way you can have a proven set of positive experiences to reflect upon so that you no longer question and doubt and no longer screw up your manifestations by listening to instructions from people who have no idea what they're talking about, or who have one manifestation to reflect upon and who have made a false conclusion because they didn't have enough evidence. It's a bold statement, but this is provable. And I have many people who have put this to the test, who have masterfully crafted the reality in a meticulous and accurate way, a predictable method by using these. The end is only the seed consisting of the imaginal act. Each seed has its own end, and each end is each thing you imagine. They do not connect to each other. Each DNA is consistent of the bridge of incidents formulated by awareness or God, crafting a perfect bridge from the point of imagining. It takes your current state of the universe. It can predict what's going to happen all the way up until the point that you can experience it using the most effective, short, and simple bridge of incidents that will get you from point A to point B. Each seed consists of that. It is full. It is complete in its own self. That is the key. Planting two seeds has two ends. They will never connect to each other. You will be confused because you can't see them grow. You will never be able to. You cannot look into the fabric of time-space to know which seed is growing which end. That is the problem. So know this for a fact. Imagine multiple things that don't matter to you, and imagine intermediary steps and watch how they all happen at different times in different orders. That is the key. So section 5 is practical tips for imagining the end. So check it out. The key here is in manifestation is knowing what to imagine. The point is, know for certain what you want. I don't care if you say, I'm not sure if I want marriage yet. The thing about manifestation is it's permanent and it is more powerful than any human. Just because you're double-minded and uncertain, you are going to, if you manifest things that you're unsure of, you're going to create a permanent thing, a permanent solution on a temporary problem. So don't mess around with this. I'm not kidding when I say this. Testing is one thing, creating things that are fun, that's awesome, but don't mess around with your life or someone else's life if you don't know for sure what you want or what you don't want. So test it in a way where you're doing something for fun, like people compliment you or do different steps related to getting money, and you'll watch how they'll all manifest in different ways. But when it comes to choosing what to imagine, know for certain what you want. If it's marriage, always imagine after marriage. Now, as I said something before, it's very important. Oftentimes, even I myself am guilty of saying, imagine the end. The truth is that we should be imagining a time after the end. Never before the end, never the end itself, always after the end. If you're imagining the end itself, make sure that it's after the point where it's completed, such as you don't want to be receiving the check in your hand for $1 million because you can bounce that check. Your subconscious mind, which is the intermediary between your conscious mind and awareness itself, is accepting of, it has a short attention span, and it only opens up for you and can close at any given time. So you want to make sure that that which you imagine is conclusive, and everything that you're imagining in that session is after the point where it has been completed. So in other words, with the check, imagine that the check has already been deposited and it has cleared. So it's after it's cleared. If you're confused, ask yourself, okay, what's the ending that I want? I want to get married. So is imagining myself at the church good enough? No, because if your subconscious only accepts bite-sized pieces and it doesn't have any logical reasoning skills, that's your conscious mind, not your subconscious mind, then it might not know. It might accept the beginning, meaning you entering into the church or standing at the altar, and not after you say, I do. So ask yourself, what's my end? It's getting married. Okay, so do I want to be at the church? No. And if anything, you want to be at the point where you already have that marriage certificate signed. Definitely. If I were you, I would go to an anniversary years down the road. That's what I would do. Because now there's no question that the bridge must go from this point to marriage to anniversary, which means it's stable and confident enough that you're having anniversaries. Or if you want to be a millionaire, don't go to the point where you're shaking someone's hand that you've just been granted a job or someone's accepted your deal. You want the money in your account. You want to be already having lived that lavish lifestyle for some time. In most cases where teachers are dead wrong is they tell you to experience some extremely powerful experience of emotion. That usually only happens at the moment that you receive it. You want to go to a point after this. So normally the experience is going to be mundane. It's going to be something really normal at that time. Yes, you might have, if anything, think from the point of view of, okay, you want something, go a year later when it's not brand new anymore. You don't want it brand new because that's still unstable. That still implies that you were just without it. Go to a point after that where you have it, it's guaranteed, there's no question, it stayed for a long time, and that's just the way your life is now. That is the tip for experiencing and embodying an imaginal scene. And from there, construct a scene that implies that's short and concise, that leaves out extraneous details that don't matter. Your consciousness replicates the contents of your imagination. The simpler, the less complex. The less complex, the less events must happen, generally speaking. This is through experience and examining reality, my manifestations and those of countless others. The less complex a scene, meaning don't add details that don't matter, don't combine multiple desires into one scene. And the reason is because your consciousness must replicate the contents of your imagination, which essentially means you must experience everything in that scene at the same time. So they become interdependent upon each other, meaning if one of those don't manifest, none of them manifest. But if you imagine them independently, as I said before, they will go in their own order in the fastest, most effective way possible. So always go short scene that implies the end and only the end, if and only if your desire has been fulfilled. And from that point of view, experience that in a short scene that is easy to imagine so that you can bring it from conscious to unconscious. I've given this example before, but like driving a car, at first you have to think of everything you're doing. Imagine driving stick shift, right? Manual transmission. There's all these things you have to remember initially. But after a few minutes, you never have to think again. It's automatic. That is the transition from conscious to subconscious. That's how you know that you've impressed your subconscious and that your the consciousness, the I am, has experienced that snapshot. And that snapshot will manifest exactly as it's replicated in time space, which means the bridge of incidence takes from the moment you've imagined that thing up until and including that experience that you've embodied in the experience imagined, in that simulation. So simulate the experience or the life that you would be having at a time and space way after your desire has been fulfilled, so there's no question that you're going to get it. Don't experience intermediary scenes. You will never know if what you're going to get is leading to the end. You'll always be in confusion. It causes a lot of pain. It will cause manipulation of reality, which causes, it's a whole separate video itself. When you begin to reactively, negatively engage with your reality in a manipulative fashion, that can break manifestations temporarily. And ultimately, you just always want to know that you're going there. You don't want to question it. You don't want to wonder, did I do this right? So begin to break down segmented tests. Think of things that you want, fun things though, and then begin to imagine intermediary steps to it and watch. They will not lead to the end for each of those. It will not manifest in order, and they will not be effectively related to one another. It will all happen at random times. This is the proof that manifesting the middle will have no way, it has no implication that you will get each thing step by step. If you want to control the middle, work on your beliefs, which is a topic for a whole nother video. The middle is something you don't want to mess with. You want to essentially just spend your time meticulously planning a scene that embodies after the end in a simple and effective, short, repeatable scene that you can bring from consciousness to unconscious. And that way your your awareness can replicate that, inject it into the fabric of time space, controlling and moving and modifying any person that needs to be moved in order for your manifestation to be unfolded. From that bridge of incidence will be constructed with all thoughts, impulse, feeling, action necessary to get you your end. So the conclusion, the last section. So if you want confidence that you know that your manifestation is coming to pass, only imagine after the end. If you want to no longer be confused, worrying, wondering, is what I just experienced going to lead me to the end? If you're sick of divergent manifestations, ask yourself, have I only imagined after the desire? Or have I gone ahead and listened to people who have said manifest intermediary scenes? When you disprove those teachings and you come to a point where you're done messing around, only imagine after the end. Meticulously strategize. Think to yourself, when I'm done messing around, if I really want to stop worrying, have I broken my manifestation? How will I ever know if I've imagined the right thing? Think about what it would be like in a life where you have already gotten your manifestation, certainly that there is no question you're in a mundane existence, something that you're experiencing every day, day in and day out. You're no longer fearing that it's gonna go away. It's not brand new, fresh here. You're not even remembering the life that you've had before. Think of a life from that perspective, and you will absolutely construct a scene that embodies after the end. Experience that as if that's the only life that you've ever lived, as if it's happening right now. Imagine it over and over until it impresses the subconscious, and then that bridge of incidence, that DNA of that seed will be meticulously and masterfully constructed with the infinite intelligence of God, of your I am, of consciousness, and move you, yourself, and every person, including the person who you want to manifest or the thing that needs to be experienced by you will start to come to you in a way that is so perfect, so amazingly orchestrated, you will thank yourself for not manifesting or messing with events in the middle. So I hope this was helpful. As you begin to integrate your new understanding of the underpinnings of reality into your day-to-day life, you will begin to experience your masterfully crafted universe. You will stop leaning on your own understanding and instant gratification of I want it now and lean upon the masterful understanding and the creative nature of he or she or it who has manifested and created this entire reality that you're living in. So rest upon that understanding. Meticulously test, put to the test different strategies meticulously with different fun and exciting desires so that you can prove this once and for all and no longer wonder if you're doing this right. So hit the like button if you like this video. Hit the subscribe button if you want more broken down, meticulous breakdowns of how to manifest anything that you want in a systematic and predictable, time-tested fashion. Hit the bell icon if you want to stay notified every Tuesday, every Friday, and also download the workbook associated with this. Get on my other social media platforms. Share this content, get it out there. We're finally picking up steam. I thank you so much for sticking with me this whole time. Let's get the real information out there so that we can stop watching people flounder by getting incorrect information and they can meticulously craft everything in a meticulously systematic, perfect way. I've repeated a bunch of words in that statement that were the same exact word. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.